Discover the incredible truth, how a single dad found heartwarming love with a hidden heroine. Jake's heart was a fortress, but it had cracks, huge fissures from losing his wife to cancer 2 years prior. Every day was a battle, but he fought to keep a smile on his 8-year-old daughter Lily's face. He balled up his grief tighter and tighter, pouring love and energy into her laughter, determined to make the world a softer place for her. He worked 2 jobs and wore himself thin, flipping burgers at the diner and delivering packages under the glow of streetlights, chasing after the ephemeral American dream. But in the quiet moments at night, when darkness crept in, the weight of his sorrow pressed heavily, often threatening to snuff out his flickering spirit. One afternoon at the Maplewood Veterans Center, he met Sarah. She was a waitress, face flushed from a long morning, fingers deftly wrapping creamers for the elderly veterans who gathered there. Instantly drawn in, Jake found comfort in her laughter and pulse of kindness that seemed buried beneath her humble demeanor. A familiar spark ignited in his chest as they shared glances. Yet with every smile exchanged, a sense of guilt settled in his gut. What kind of man was he to think of love again? The shadows in his life cast an obstacle too big to leap over. Yet as his interactions with Sarah deepened, he hesitated to invite her into their lives, fearing the opinions of friends who deemed someone like her, a simple waitress, not worthy of his devotion. They whispered worries about what he couldn't see, their skepticism a wall around her heart. "Just a waitress, Jake, what about Lily?" they said, eyes narrowing, casting judgment. "You need someone stable, not whatever this is." Defensiveness flared. Didn't they see Sarah's strength, the kindness reflected in her eyes? Didn't they notice how she eased the burdens of those around her? Before Jake could resolve his turmoil, disaster struck. The roar of a tornado shattered the calm of Maplewood. Trees toppled, roofs were sheared away, and the sky darkened with impending chaos. When the storm subsided and silence fell, it was as if they had been thrust into a different world, one littered with debris and despair. But amidst the devastation, Jake watched Sarah spring into action. Without a second thought, she dashed towards a nearby home, a veteran trapped inside, her courage electrifying. It was in the debris-strewn streets that he witnessed her strength, the heart and soul of a true hero. As fear and admiration clenched his chest, a light glimmered in the shadows of his doubt toward her. He felt the community's judgment unravel as they shared the weight of this catastrophe. They were all in this together. Jake rallied his friends and neighbors, and through the chaos he sought Sarah's fierce determination. She was extraordinary, a stark contrast to the misconceptions whispered behind closed doors. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jake looked at Sarah risking everything to save the veteran, Lily's eyes sparkled with awe, admiration blooming between them as if the rubble around them was a fortress for a new friendship. Jake's heart raced, caught in admiration and the nagging fear that he might lose this fragile bond before it even began. Could he bridge the divide that separated love from community judgment? Or would he slip back into the shadows, choosing the easy path and leave behind the hidden heroine shining right before him? Jake's hands trembled slightly as he watched Sarah. Dust and debris covered her clothes, but her spirit gleamed brighter than anything he had ever seen. She was guiding the elderly veteran out of the wreckage, her voice a soothing balm amid the chaos. There was something undeniably magnetic about her. The rest of the world melted into the background, and in that moment, all he could see was her unwavering strength. Lily tugged at his sleeve, breaking his trance. "Daddy, look!" she exclaimed, pointing towards Sarah. Jake's heart swelled with pride, as his daughter not only admired Sarah, but seemed to be inspired by her too. Perhaps it wasn't just him feeling this way. Maybe others could see what he saw in her, the courage, the bravery, the heart. Sitting in the makeshift gathering area later that day, neighbors took stock of the destruction, their faces grim, thoughts heavy with uncertainty. It was overwhelming. Jake exchanged worried looks with his friends as they worked alongside each other, clearing debris and checking on those in need. The devastation was heartbreaking, but within the clouds of despair emerged threads of determination woven through the community. And there was Sarah, moving from person to person, her warmth igniting sparks of hope. She offered food, provided comfort, and above all, rallied people into action, her laughter mingling with tears of relief when someone was found safe. How could he let this feeling slip away? The battle inside Jake churned as he wrestled with his fears and the risks involved in opening his heart again. That night, with Lily asleep in her room, Jake found himself standing on the porch, taking in the sight of Maplewood, a town bruised but undeterred. He could still see the silhouettes of his neighbors helping each other. He thought of Sarah pushing herself into the fray, unhindered by fear. With a rush of adrenaline, he resolved to step out from behind the fortress he had built around his heart. At the diner the following day, Sarah was serving customers with her usual grace, her hair pulled back and her smile radiant despite the previous day's turmoil. Taking a deep breath, Jake pushed himself through the door. This was it. "Hey!" he called out, his voice thick with nerves. Sarah turned, surprise washing over her features, followed by that infectious smile. "Jake, I didn't expect to see you here. How's Lily doing?" She's great," he replied, scrambling for words. "She was really impressed by you yesterday, you know?" A blush crept across her cheeks, and she looked down, fiddling with the tray. "Well, I just did what anyone would do, right?" "No," he said, stepping closer, "not anyone. You really are something special." Her eyes lifted to his, surprise making way for warmth. The silence stretched, burdened with unspoken possibilities. It seemed as if time stood still in the busy diner, the world outside, forgotten. "I think you're a hero, Sarah," Jake finally said, conviction flooding through him. "Jake, Suddenly a commotion erupted outside, shattering their moment. A group of locals had gathered around a fallen tree, trying to rescue a trapped puppy. Jake felt the pulse of urgency. This was life, full of challenges and need. He couldn't hesitate. Not anymore. "Come on!" he shouted, taking Sarah's hand. Together they raced outside, diving into the fray shoulder to shoulder. In that instant, Jake understood that the connection forged in the aftermath of a storm was not an ending, but a thrilling beginning. As they worked side by side, a thought warmed Jake's heart. Could this simply be the spark of something deeper? What lay ahead for him, Sarah, and Lily? But as the crowd cheered and the puppy wriggled free, Jake spotted someone watching them closely, an old acquaintance with skepticism in his eyes. Would this judgment threaten their newfound bond? In that moment, Jake felt the looming question forming in his mind. Could he break down the walls of the past and embrace what could be? The buzzing crowd around the puppy faded as Jake's focus narrowed. He locked eyes with the familiar face across the street. Tom, an old high school friend turned neighbor, stood with his arms crossed tightly, frowning as if scrutinizing something he considered deeply flawed. Jake's heart sank. Would Tom's judgment echo the doubts he had kept buried within? "Jake, focus!" Sarah's voice snapped him back to the present. She was already on her knees, digging through the branches, determination etched on her face. He joined her, pushing aside the leaves and twigs. "Right. Sorry," he muttered, forcing a smile. They worked in sync, and little bursts of laughter emerged from the crowd around them. For a fleeting moment, Jake felt an escape from the weight of his old life, the pain, the fear of failure. As the puppy yelped, desperation flickered in Jake's chest. He brushed away the debris, fingers trembling. Finally, their teamwork paid off, and the small, muddy creature wriggled free, nuzzling against Sarah once they pulled it out. Everyone erupted in applause, but Jake felt his heart was engaged in a far more private celebration. He looked at Sarah, singing with joy, as the puppy greeted its new freedom with tiny, frantic barks. "So you did it!" Jake beamed at her, watching the way her eyes sparkled. "You're incredible. Only because you were here. We made a good team," she replied, brushing the dirt from her hands with a laugh. Her eyes sparkled in the sunlight, and for a moment it felt like the shape of the world shifted just slightly towards something golden and warm. But as the crowd began to disperse, he couldn't shake the feeling in his gut. Tom approached him with a tentative look. There was tension in the air, sharp enough to cut through the joy. "Jake," he said, his tone flat, "is this really how you want to spend your time?" Jake's defenses kicked in. "What do you mean?" Tom sighed, shaking his head. "I just don't want you to get hurt again. You know how people can be. She's a good person, but—" "Is that how you see it?" Jake demanded, frustration boiling over. "You think I can't trust myself to make my own choices?" Tom held up his hands, appearing non-threatening. "I'm just saying. Think it through." "Thanks for the advice," Jake replied coolly, watching his friend retreat. But the shadows of doubt clung to him. Had he acted too impulsively with Sarah? Had he jumped too quickly into something without realizing the consequences? Jake turned back to find Sarah wrapping a towel around the pup, now bouncing in her arms. She was so full of light, connecting with others effortlessly. But an unsettling thought quivered within him. How could he bring this newfound relationship into reality? Was he ready to let someone into the space where grief dwelled too? "Are you okay?" Sarah's voice cut through his spiraling thoughts. "You look a little, I don't know, lost?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Just thinking, this puppy is a handful," he deflected. She smiled, but her brow furrowed slightly in concern. For the first time, he could see the hint of confusion in her eyes, challenging him to open up to her. His heart raced with a mix of emotions. Could he really let her in, knowing Tom's doubts lingered? Suddenly the air shifted again as more townsfolk gathered, wanting to celebrate the little victory. Beyond the crowd, the sun dipped low in the sky, casting orange and purple hues. It was beautiful, but Jake's internal conflict darkened over the vibrant backdrop. He pushed the fear of loss aside, focusing on how alive he felt next to Sarah. "Jake!" Sarah's voice rang out, filled with enthusiasm again. "Come meet more of the neighbors. They want to thank you for what you did today." But beneath the warmth surged an unanswered question. Would he be able to face not only his past, but also the scrutiny of those who cared for him? "Right behind you," he said, but as he followed her into the crowd, his thoughts ricocheted between hope and anxiety. What would happen when they all learned about his scars? What if they saw him for who he truly was? Something deep within urged him to confront it all. As laughter filled the air, Jake took a deep breath. Could he really step into this new chapter without looking back? But before he could find peace, another figure loomed at the edge of the crowd. Tom again, this time more insistent, his gaze penetrating deep into Jake's soul. What would he reveal? Would it shatter everything Jake was trying to build? The crowd buzzed like a hive, laughter twirling around Jake as he stepped closer to Sarah, her voice bringing him back to the moment. She was chatting with a group of neighbors, her hands animated as she spoke, the towel-wrapped puppy nestled against her chest. A sense of warmth spread through Jake, but the weight of Tom's earlier words clawed at him. "Jake!" Sarah looked over, her smile lighting up her face again. "Everyone wants to hear how you found the puppy in the first place." He felt heat rush to his cheeks. Was he ready for this? The idea of sharing, of being vulnerable, sent his heart racing. He hadn't shared much about himself since the loss, and the thought of being scrutinized for who he was now felt daunting. "Come on." She beckoned him closer, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. Jake took a deep breath and forced a smile, stepping into the small circle that had formed around them. The neighbors watched him expectantly, faces eager and friendly. "Well, it all started when Sarah dragged me into the bushes," he began, injecting a bit of humor into his voice. The tension eased a little and laughter erupted as he recounted their chaotic rescue mission. As he spoke, Jake noticed Tom standing a bit farther back, arms still crossed, an unreadable expression on his face. There was no support or judgment, just a watchful silence. It bothered him, but he pushed the feeling aside. He was in the moment, surrounded by warmth and laughter, sharing a part of himself that felt frightening yet liberating. After his story was met with applause, Sarah squeezed his arm, her laughter bright and genuine. "You're the real hero. Without you, I'd have a really dirty puppy on my hands." The crowd erupted in good-natured banter, but Jake's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. The feeling of unease was still there, growing subtly, amplifying with every glance at Tom. What if he wasn't enough for Sarah? The laughter around him faded momentarily as his thoughts spiraled back to the past. "Jake, is there anything else you want to say?" a woman from the crowd asked, sensing his hesitation. It feels good to help," he managed, his voice faltering slightly. The crowd nodded, some murmured words of encouragement, but Jake's heart raced as he fought against the urge to retreat. He caught Sarah's gaze again, and somehow her smile provided the anchor he needed. As the neighbors began to drift away, Jake felt the day's joy shift into something more profound. He turned to Sarah, preparing to voice the swirling doubts coiling inside him. But before he could speak, Tom cut through the moment again. "Jake, can we talk?" he said, voice low yet urgent. The warmth that surrounded him immediately chilled. Jake opened his mouth, but the words fell away as he met Tom's serious gaze. "Just for a minute," Tom pressed. "Away from the crowd." Reluctantly, Jake nodded and stepped back from Sarah, who watched them intently. Tom led the way to a quieter corner, behind a row of trees where the sound of laughter was muffled. "What is it?" Jake asked, brow furrowed, unease prickling at his skin. "I know it feels good to connect with her, but Jake, you need to be careful." Tom's voice hardened, driven by a sense of urgency that made Jake's heart sink. "Are you ready for this? What if what happened before comes back?" Jake's chest tightened. "Are you serious? She's different." "But is she, Jake?" Tom's question hung heavy in the air, and for the first time, Jake noticed the flicker of frustration mixed with concern in his friend's eyes. "I just don't want to see you hurt again. You've just started to heal." Suddenly, the fragile happiness of the day felt fragile again, as if the fabric of his newfound hope was unraveling stitch by stitch. He glanced back at Sarah, laughter echoing in his ears, warmth weaving through the air. "I can handle this," he replied, the words firm despite the doubt curling within. Tom remained unconvinced, eyes narrowing slightly. "Just promise me you'll be cautious. You aren't ready to reopen old wounds." Jake felt the weight of the moment. Was he really strong enough for this new chapter? As they stood in silence, he searched his heart for the answer. "What if this time it's different?" he finally asked, the question for both Tom and himself. Ahead, he could see Sarah glancing over, concern etched on her features. Could he really trust these feelings without letting fear grip him? But more importantly, was he ready to let her in? The sun began to set, casting shadows that danced eerily across the quiet ground. Time felt suspended, a delicate balance between vulnerability and courage, teetering at the edge. But before Jake could respond, a sudden, desperate yelp came from the edge of the crowd, a shout that would soon force all decisions to a head. "Help! Someone's fallen!" What would that mean for them all? Jake's heart lurched at the cry for help. It echoed through the cheerful light of the autumn afternoon, transforming the vibrant scene into a tapestry woven with tension and concern. He exchanged quick glances with Tom, whose expression shifted from frustration to alarm in an instant. Without hesitation, they rushed toward the sound, navigating through the crowd that just moments ago had been filled with laughter and warmth. As they neared, Jake's mind raced. Who had fallen? Why couldn't he shake the feeling that today could change everything? When they finally broke through the throng of neighbors, they reached an open space lined with tall grass. There, in the center, lay a boy, probably 10 years old, crumpled on the ground with a grimace etched across his face. A cluster of worried adults surrounded him, their voices a worried murmur blending with panic. What happened? Jake knelt beside the boy, his heart pounding. The child's face was pale, sweat beading on his forehead. "He tripped while playing," a woman said, her hand pressed tightly against her mouth. "He keeps saying his leg hurts really bad." Tom crouched down next to Jake, both of them trying to decipher the boy's condition. "Can you move it?" Jake asked gently. The boy winced but shook his head, tears spilling down his cheeks. "Okay, we need to keep him calm," Jake instructed, instantly slipping into a mindset that felt familiar yet distant. He thought of all the times he'd played the hero, the protector, before loss had shattered that part of him. "Hey, buddy, I'm Jake. You're going to be okay," he said softly. "Can you tell me your name?" Danny," the boy murmured, and in that moment, something shifted inside Jake. He felt a spark of purpose igniting in the ominous shadow that had briefly fallen over his heart. "Danny," he repeated, "you're brave, you're doing a good job. Let's get you sitting up, all right?" The frantic adults hesitated, but they nodded as Jake gently encouraged Danny to shift positions, trying to ease the tension and pain. Tom moved to guide the other kids back, creating a safe space. They were all watching, wide-eyed and frightened, as if seeing something real for the first time. "Just breathe, Danny," Jake said soothingly, keeping his eyes locked on the boys. "In and out, nice and slow." Danny breathed with him, the rhythm stabilizing his rapid heart rate. With each breath, Jake felt some of his own fears begin to dissolve too. He was reminded that he could still be that person, the one who made a difference, who stepped up in a moment of need. Just then, Sarah's voice broke through the haze. "I called 911, they're on their way." Her eyes were wide with concern as she approached, kneeling next to Jake. Without thinking, her hand slipped into his, a small gesture of connection that sent warmth coursing through him. "Jake, you're doing great," she whispered, her voice just for him. "You're amazing with kids. Look at how calm he is with you." He merely nodded, locking onto that grateful expression in Sarah's eyes. Was it even possible that healing could come from this, that he could step out of the shadows of his past? As they waited for help to arrive, Jake focused entirely on Danny, who was now glancing between him and Sarah. Even in pain, there was a flicker of hope in the boy's gaze, like he sensed that everything would be okay. But just when Jake started to feel the thread of connection blossoming with Sarah, a loud crack echoed from the trees nearby. Everyone turned, faces abruptly shifting from worry to shock. "What now?" Tom muttered, scanning the area. A figure emerged from the brush, eyes wild, fear etched across a dusty face. "Help! My brother! He fell down the ravine." Jake's heart dropped. The situation was spiraling out of control, pulling at the edges of what he managed to hold together. Could he really hold on if this chaos became his new reality? "Can you handle this?" Sarah asked, squeezing his hand tighter, her voice urging him to make a choice in the chaos. "Let's go," he said, adrenaline surging as he stood, ready to face whatever awaited them. In that instant, he realized that love, like courage, could be forged in moments of uncertainty. Jake's pulse raced as he sprinted toward the edge of the trees, his mind racing through the unfolding chaos. The autumn leaves crunched beneath his feet, loud against the backdrop of anxious voices and worried breaths. Every instinct inside him pushed him forward, fueled by the urgent need to help. Behind him, he could hear Sarah and Tom following closely, their determination evident. "Which way?" Tom shouted, darting ahead to scan the area. "Over here." The frantic voice of the boy who had called for help pierced through the gathering noise. He gestured wildly, his little frame vibrating with urgency. Jake's heart sank. They had been dealing with one crisis, and now the stakes felt so much higher. The reminder of his own past in the wake of loss crept into his thoughts, but he quickly pushed it aside. He had a chance to be the hero he always wanted to be, not just for Danny, but now for this little brother too. "Stay close," Jake instructed, leading the way as they rushed into the underbrush. The world around him faded into a blur of color and sound, twisting branches, tracing paths of mossy earth. Everything felt surreal. Ahead, a narrow ravine stretched out beneath the trees, jagged rocks creating a treacherous slope. The child's cries echoed off the walls, sharpening Jake's focus. "What's your brother's name?" Jake called out to the trembling boy. "Josh, he fell. I think he hit his head." Panic danced in the boy's eyes, and Jake felt a knot tightening in his stomach. "We're going to get him, I promise," Jake reassured him, urgency weaving its way through his words. As they approached the steep drop, he could see movement below. Someone was shifting, struggling. "Jake!" Sarah's voice rang like a bell. He turned to find her already slipping down the incline. With a quick look at Tom, Jake followed, ensuring that he was right behind her. "Be careful," Tom cautioned, his voice firm but laced with worry. As they clambered down, Jake felt adrenaline pumping in his veins, guiding his hands and feet. When he reached the bottom, he saw Josh crumpled against a rock, eyes fluttering open and closed, confusion written all over his face. "Josh, it's okay, you're safe now," he said, kneeling beside him. "Can you hear me?" The boy's eyes fluttered, then focused on Jake, a flicker of recognition. Where's my brother?" Josh's voice strained. "Your brother's right up there. We're all going to get you out of here." Jake's voice was steady, but inside, his heart raced. The boy was in bad shape. He glanced back up the ravine towards Sarah and Tom, who were scrambling down. "We need to stabilize him," Sarah said, her voice calm like a lifeline. "Jake, can you check his head for injuries?" Nodding, he took a deep breath and gently touched Josh's forehead. The boy winced but didn't pull away. Relief flooded over him. It didn't seem like anything was broken. He could feel the gentle pressure of Sarah's fingers on his back, steadying him. "Just a bump," Jake said, buoyed by the small win. "You're going to be okay, Josh. Help is on the way." Suddenly, the distant wail of sirens reached them, cutting through the tension like a knife. But just as Jake began to feel hope bloom inside him, he caught a glimpse of the treacherous steepness around them. How would they get both boys up from this embrace of danger? "Can you get up? We need to move," he said firmly but gently. But simply climbing back up wasn't an option. They needed more support, more hands. "Look!" Tom shouted from above, pointing back to where other people had gathered, eyes wide with concern. "Get the kids' help first. I'll go for more assistance." Tom disappeared back toward the top, leaving Jake and Sarah to manage the crisis in front of them. Fear gripped Jake's heart. Every second felt like an eternity. Could they really keep these boys safe until the medics arrived? "Just hold on tight to me, Josh," Jake urged as he enveloped the smaller boy in a protective grip. "You're not alone." But as he settled into that moment of reassurance, all three of them heard the ground rumble beneath their feet. "Watch out!" Sarah screamed, eyes wide with horror. Just when they thought they were holding it together, the earth began to shift. The ground trembled ominously, sending Jake's heart racing faster than ever. Instinctively, he tightened his grip on Josh, pulling the boy closer to his side. He raised his eyes to Sarah, who was scanning the area with a mix of fear and determination. "Get back!" Sarah shouted, urging Jake to move away from the sorrows of the ground. But there was nowhere to go. The steep sides of the ravine were too steep and treacherous. Suddenly, a sharp crack split the air, splintering the tension. A nearby tree creaked and groaned as it swayed, its roots struggling against the shifting earth. Panic clawed at Jake's throat. Would they be swallowed whole by the chaos that once surrounded them? "We're okay, just hang on," Jake yelled, his voice fierce. He could see Josh's face, pale and confused, searching for reassurance from him. "You're safe, I promise." "Mom!" Josh cried, tears spilling down his cheeks. "I want my mom." Hearing that plea sliced through Jake like a knife. Every memory of loss crested within him. He had promised himself he wouldn't let fear dictate his actions again. "Your mom's on her way," Jake reassured, his own voice trembling as he fought to maintain calm. "You're going to be all right, just keep looking at me, okay?" But as Jake steadied himself against the rocky wall, he caught a glimpse of something stirring further down the slope, more movement in the shadows. Suddenly, another rumble reverberated through the ravine, and a cascade of pebbles tumbled down, causing Jake to flinch. "Sarah!" he shouted, spinning his gaze toward her. She was trying to maintain her footing, but the ground continued to shift beneath them. Rushing water boiled within his veins, a primal impulse urging him to act. He couldn't let anything happen to either of them. "Stay close to me," Jake called out as he inched down the slope, his heart pounding. Josh's whimpers echoed, each sound pulling Jake deeper into a sense of urgency. He needed to find a way to stabilize the situation, to create a safe space for the kids. "Use your hands to help steady yourself," Jake instructed Josh, his voice strong. "You're doing great." Josh nodded, drawing strength from Jake's unwavering belief in him. In that moment, Jake felt a spark of hope, a flicker of something bigger than their fear. Wasn't this what being a protector felt like? As another tremor shook the ground, a sickening realization hit him. There was no time to waste. He searched for options as anxiety clawed at his chest. "Okay, let's get you on your feet," he said, encouraging Josh to lean against him as he slowly helped him stand, feeling the little boy's weight shift against him. "You just have to hold on tight." Then he turned to Sarah. "Can you help me? We'll find a way to pull him up." In that moment, the earth rumbled one last time, a deafening roar following as part of the hillside collapsed, sending rocks tumbling down the ravine with alarming speed. "Jake!" Sarah's eyes were wide with terror. "Run!" But Jake couldn't leave Josh behind. He had made a promise made from the depths of his own pain, and he would fulfill it. Just as Jake braced himself to assist Josh, he heard a command pierce through the chaos. "Everyone, get out of the way!" His gaze flicked up to see a figure, the familiar red jacket of Tom, rushing back with help near the ravine's edge. "Don't let go, Josh!" Jake shouted as adrenaline surged through him. With that spark of help just on the verge of reaching them, he steadied himself, hoping against all odds that this moment wouldn't slip through their fingers. But would it be enough? As he prepared to make a leap toward the safety of Tom's presence, the world around them seemed to teeter on the brink, and Jake's heart raced with uncertainty. What would happen next? The ground shook again, more ferociously this time. Dust and debris filled the air, stinging Jake's lungs and clouding his vision. He was conscious of Josh's frail body against him, the desperation in the child's grasp tightening with every tremor. "Hang on, buddy!" Jake yelled over the roar, trying to bolster his own faltering courage. He felt utterly powerless, but could not show that to Josh. Tom was almost there. He could see the strong, reassuring lines of Tom's face through the haze. "Josh, we have to move toward him," Jake urged, steadying himself against a massive rock. But before he could take a step, the earth let out a deep groan, and a corner of the hillside cracked open. A wave of terror crashed over Jake as he watched rocks tumble down the ravine, threatening to swallow his hope whole. "Now!" Jake shouted, his voice emerging from the chaos like a beacon. He reached for Josh, pulling him onto his back, clenching the boy's arms around his neck. "Trust me." "Going to fall!" Josh cried, panic bursting through his voice. "Never! You're with me and I won't let go!" Jake responded fiercely, his determination igniting a spark of trust in the boy. He had to believe he could make them both safe. With quick, calculated steps, Jake began inching sideways, aiming for where he could last see Tom. Every step felt like walking a tightrope over a chasm, the ground quaking beneath him as he fought to maintain his balance. It was painfully slow, but he sensed Josh's grip tightening, urging him on. The chaos felt endless. The sounds of falling rocks mingled with Sarah shouting from behind, calling for them to hurry. "Jake, I can't hold on much longer." Her voice was tinged with anxiety. "Just a little further," he shouted back, summoning every ounce of strength. As they moved, Jake's heart ached with the weight of their circumstances. The boy on his back had already seen too much fear, yet here they were, facing the possibility of losing everything. A surge of protective instinct rushed through him, a reminder that every moment counted. Finally, he spotted Tom. "There," Jake pointed, relief flooding through him. "We're almost there." The sight of Tom's hand reaching out steadied Jake's resolve. He pushed forward with a burst of adrenaline, propelling them both towards safety. But just as they neared the sweet taste of escape, the earth shifted once more. A massive section of the hill crumbled, cascading down toward them, and Jake's heart plummeted. "Tom!" he shouted, desperation threading through his voice. "Get back!" Tom roared. But it was too late. The rocks were tumbling too fast. In an instinctive move, Jake turned slightly, shielding Josh with his own body, bracing for impact. Time felt frozen as chaos erupted around them in a blur of dust and fear. Then something extraordinary happened. Just as debris slammed into the ground, there was a sudden burst of weightlessness, like everything had stopped. Jake felt a rush of warmth envelop him, and for an instant, he saw a flash of red through the dust, the hint of Tom's jacket. Jake gasped, the world around them suddenly quieting. When the dust began to settle, he blinked away the shock and looked around. Tom stood there, jaw clenched, arms extended. "Are you okay?" he asked, eyes darting between Jake and Josh. "Yeah, thanks to you," Jake gasped, his heart racing, still processing what had just happened. Had they really escaped? Hope flickered to life, lighting their faces amid the rubble. But as Josh whimpered against him, that spark of relief felt fragile. "We need to get out of here," Jake said slowly, scanning the instability around them. Just as he began to gather his thoughts, Sarah stumbled toward them, a look of victory mixed with terror on her face. "We can't stay here," she urged, It isn't over yet. Jake's pulse quickened again. If the earth still held a grudge, they needed to act fast. But then came another tremor, this one more insistent, a warning rumble that left no doubt, a reminder of their vulnerable state. "Let's move," Tom shouted, urging them forward. With every step Jake took, he felt the weight of their survival resting in his chest like a forgotten promise. The path ahead was uncertain, but he knew one thing for sure. They were all that mattered. They needed each other now more than ever, and together they could forge through the darkness. Just then, though, Jake noticed something glinting among the debris, a small object half buried. Curiosity tugged at him. What secret lay hidden in the wreckage, just waiting for him to uncover it? Jake's heart raced as he crouched beside the debris, eyes locked on the glinting object. It was small, almost too small to be of any significance, but in this moment of chaos, it felt impossibly important. He could hear the distant rumble of the earth threatening them, but his curiosity was insatiable. "Jake, we need to go." Sarah's voice pierced through his thoughts, a mix of urgency and fear. "Just a second," he called back, making a quick decision to grab the object. He reached down, fingers brushing against the cold metal. With a swift motion, he pulled it free from the rubble, a locket intricately designed and slightly tarnished from how long it had been buried. He opened it, revealing two small faded photographs. One was of a woman with warm eyes and a soft smile, the other an image of a boy who looked strikingly similar to Josh. A wave of emotion crashed over him. "What?" he mumbled. Was this a sign? A message from someone who had once walked these same paths? "Jake, come on," Tom shouted. The urgency in his voice tore through Jake's daze, and he felt the pull of reality settle back in. He had to focus. The ground groaned again, a low and ominous warning. There wasn't time to wonder about the locket right now. With one last glance at it, he slipped it into his pocket, promising himself he wouldn't forget about it. "Let's move," Jake urged, leading the group, holding onto Josh tightly. The path felt narrow and unstable, each step sending ripples of uncertainty through the ground. He couldn't shake off the lingering fear that another tremor could send them tumbling down. Josh's arms clung around his neck like a lifeline, and Jake felt the weight of his dependence pressing down on him. He had to get them through this. "Stay close," he shouted, and they quickened their pace, moving in a tight formation. Each heavy breath filled Jake with determination. As they navigated the wreckage, adrenaline fueled their escape. Tom took the lead, scanning ahead for potential dangers. Sarah flanked Jake, the bond between them strengthening under pressure. "You okay?" she asked, glancing at Josh, who buried his face against Jake's shoulder, wide-eyed and frightened. "Just let's keep moving," Jake replied, forcing a smile for Josh's sake. Suddenly, they rounded a bend and came face to face with a narrow gap among the rocks. The opening was just large enough to fit through, but it looked precarious, and Jake's heart thudded as he pictured the ground giving way beneath their feet. "Can we go around?" Sarah suggested, her voice barely steady. "No time," Jake said, scanning the landscape behind them where the ground shifted like a restless beast. Just beyond, he could see dust clouds billowing like a tornado. It was now or never. With a deep breath, he felt Josh's grip tighten, and he nodded at Tom. "Let's do it." One by one, they squeezed through the gap, the ground rumbling beneath them in warning. Jake's heart raced, the pressure unbearable. Just then, he felt a shift, and the rocks trembled violently. Without thinking, he lunged forward, shouting, "Go!" They pushed through, a flurry of movement and fear. Safety on the other side felt tantalizingly close, yet the ground was bucking beneath them like a wild stallion. Then, just as they emerged into a small clearing, the tremor escalated. A loud crack echoed in the air. Jake turned, instinctively covering Josh with his body, shielding him from falling debris. "Get down!" Sarah yelled, and they all dropped to the ground, the world around them erupting in chaos. After what felt like an eternity, the rumbling finally ceased. Trembling and gasping for breath, they slowly looked up, the air hanging thick with dust. Jake glanced around, scanning for danger. Relief washed over him, but it was short-lived as he felt the weight of the locket pressing against his chest, an unfinished story lingering on the cusp of revelation. "What was that?" Josh whispered, trembling. "Just a reminder," Jake replied, heart racing, "that we have to keep going." But something deeper was stirring within him too, a need to understand the connection to the locket. It was more than just a shiny object. It felt like the start of a journey he didn't quite realize he was on. As they caught their breath, Jake turned to his companions. "We need to find a safe place and figure out our next move. It's only going to get more dangerous from here." The others nodded, the bond between them growing stronger, fueled by shared purpose. And as they moved forward, Jake wondered just what the locket held inside. What secrets, what stories might change everything for him and Josh. But where would that journey lead them next? As they gathered their breath, Jake could still feel the lingering tremors in his bones, but amidst the chaos, something else pulsed within him, a flicker of determination and a sense of purpose. He tightened his grip on Josh, the boy still clinging to him like a lifeline, the remnants of fear lingering in his eyes. "Let's keep moving," Jake urged, glancing backward to ensure everyone was accounted for. Sarah nodded, her expression resolute, and Tom kept close behind, a silent shield against the chaos that had enveloped them. "Where do we go?" Sarah asked, glancing left and right, searching for a clear path through the wreckage. Jake surveyed the terrain ahead, a patch of dense trees skirting the edge of the ravine. It looked like a refuge where they could regroup, a sanctuary away from the chaos behind them. "There," he pointed, his voice steady under the weight of decision. "We make our way to those trees. Josh, can you walk? I'll help you." "I'll try," the boy whispered, wiggling down to his feet, though his form trembled with fatigue. Jake knelt, positioning his arm around Josh's shoulders, providing him the support he needed. Together, they moved cautiously toward the trees, the sunlight peeking through the branches, casting dappled shadows on the ground. As they stepped further from the ravine, Jake felt the air shift, laden with possibilities, the air thick with change. "Just past those trees," he reassured, glancing at Sarah. "We can take a breath and check that nobody's hurt." Yet as they approached the grove, a sense of calm invaded him. The world felt slow in that moment. It was as if the chaos of the storm outside couldn't touch the solace of their roof of leaves. He looked over at Josh, who seemed to draw strength from Jake's presence. "Feel better?" Jake asked, giving the boy a small smile. "Yeah, a little," Josh breathed, although his eyes still held uncertainty. As they settled beneath the trees, Jake took a seat beside Josh, carefully resting the locket beside him on the ground. "Josh, can you tell me what happened? How you ended up in that ravine?" Josh's eyes sparkled with fear and bravery. "We were playing by the river, me and Alex. We were just running around. I didn't see the edge." His voice tripped over memories, but Jake listened intently, allowing the boy's courage to flow freely. "Alex?" Jake prompted gently. "My brother," he murmured, sadness pouring into his voice. He went to get help after I fell. I messed up and I can't find him." Hearing the desperation in Josh's voice sliced through Jake, igniting that fierce spark deep in his soul. "You're brave for trying to help him," he replied, kneeling in front of the boy. "We'll find him together. I promise." As Josh held his gaze, something shifted. Jake realized that this moment wasn't just about rescue anymore. It was about rebuilding lives, healing losses, and finding connections that mattered. In that instant, Sarah leaned closer, looking at Jake with an understanding that passed between them, binding their shared journey together. "Jake, I saw something earlier when we—" But her words halted. Movement caught their eyes. A figure emerged from the tree line beyond, a small, fragile silhouette. "Josh?" came a small voice, trembling yet familiar. It was Alex, his brother, appearing like a fading mirage. Jake's heart soared. "Alex!" he shouted, racing toward the boy like a bolt of lightning striking through the clouds. "Josh!" Alex exclaimed, scrambling toward them, relief flooding his body. "I'm so glad you're okay." When they met, the brothers collapsed into an embrace, tears flowing freely as joy erupted in a cacophony of support. Jake stepped back, feeling the warmth of their bond wrap around him. "Thank you," Alex shouted, turning to Jake and Sarah, clasping their hands in gratitude. "I thought I lost him." Sarah beamed, her eyes shining with tears of joy. "You didn't lose him. You're all safe now." In that moment, Jake knew it wasn't just about what they had endured, but what lay ahead. The support, those quiet moments of hope woven into the seams of everyday life. They were all fighting to piece back their lives, stitch by stitch, draw on the threads of love that defied the chaos around them. Josh smiled, wide and radiant, lifting his head towards Jake. "Thank you," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I was scared." Jake nodded, wrapping an arm around him. "I was scared too, but look at you, you found your brother, that's courage." And just like that, the locket, heavy with secrets, slipped from Jake's thoughts. It would still wait for him, silently tucked away, but right now the connection to what mattered lay here, in this moment, bathed in light, surrounded by newfound family. "Now," Jake said, looking around at the trees swaying gently in the breeze, "let's make sure everyone else is okay. With the community behind us, we can face anything." With that, they set off back toward the commotion, a vibrant bond of resilience forming between them. As they walked hand in hand, hope lit their steps. Jake felt lighter with each step, his heart free, no longer under siege from grief. The journey through darkness had only deepened his understanding that family expands. In every season of life, new connections blossom, fashioning unexpected paths of love even in the most trying times. And as they ventured forth toward the heart of Maplewood, Jake glanced back, a smile spreading across his face. Life, complicated as it was, would carry on, just like love. Now, if you resonated with the end of Jake's journey, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to catch the incredible transformations unfolding in those next exclusive stories. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and let others witness this journey. Comment down below your feelings about this ending. Let's chat. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's spread the love and inspiration together.